Hey, it's Edward Spaghettward. Eddie Spaghetti if you're feeling friendly. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. When I was 12 years old, my mom bought me my first instrument, which was this Squire precision bass. I've performed in a venue or two with this beautiful instrument, but today I'll show you how I practice before those performances. First, I practice my scale shapes. I usually start with the C major in two patterns. I begin with the 3rd fret of my A string, which is C, then the 5th fret of my A string, D, and this is where I split off into two different patterns. The more convenient pattern I follow goes from D on my A string to the 7th fret of the A string, E. After that, we're done with the A string. From E, we move on to the 3rd fret of the D string, which is F, then to the 5th fret of the D string, G, to the 7th fret of the D string, A, and from here we switch strings again. On the G string, B is the 4th fret. And then, lastly, we return to C on the 5th fret of the G string. Make sure you get used to the feeling of working your way both up and down. For the second pattern, we again start the major scale on the A string. The 3rd fret is C, 5th fret is D, but this time we play E on the 2nd fret of the D string. Then F on the 3rd fret of the D string, G on the 5th, and then we skip A on the 7th fret of the D string and play A on the 2nd fret of the G string instead, B on the 4th fret, and finally C on the 5th fret of the G string. Once again, get used to working your way up and down for this pattern as well. Learning different ways of playing the same scale is useful because there are some instances where it's easier to play that E on the D string rather than reaching all the way to the 7th fret of the A string. Another scale that I find useful as a bass player is the minor pentatonic scale. For this scale, I'll start on the 3rd fret of my E string, G. From G, I play the 7th fret of my E string, B flat. Then I'll jump to the 3rd fret of the A string, which is C, then C to D. From there, you'll play the 3rd fret of the D string, F. Then return to G on the 5th fret of the D string. Like every other scale, you'll want to get comfy ascending and descending. When I first started playing, I looked up a whole bunch of bass tutorials on YouTube. You should too. Learning music is the best way to add new patterns and new ideas to your arsenal, which can be very, very useful when you're trying to improvise. As useful as YouTube videos can be, I advise you to still look into finding a bass guitar teacher. There are some things that you can learn on YouTube, but there are some nuances to bass guitar playing that only someone in person can teach you. You don't want to build bad habits out of teaching yourself. I'm speaking from experience. I hope this video helped. Break a leg.